Bill Rowe,
Here.
Grant Moore,
Here.
Arden Peter,
Here.
Mike Sutter, Susan Robinson.
We do have a quorum. Everybody has a copy of the January 23rd, 2023 minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented. Approved. Second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved as presented. I want to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. If your cell phone isn't on silent, please make sure to do so. I think everybody is signed in out front. A little bit how we run our meetings. First thing we will do is we will ask for the staff report, and the city planner will read the staff report. We'll then ask the petitioner present the facts relating to the case. Board members will question the petitioner at that time. We'll then ask for any correspondence to be read into the minutes, and then also recognize any remonstrators after that. We'll allow the petitioner any time for rebuttal. After that, we will close the public part of the hearing. The board will discuss the case among ourselves with no comments from the petitioner or the remonstrators. Everyone will be able to remain in the room. We'll then go through the findings of fact and take a vote, and the secretary will announce the vote. So the first thing we have on our agenda is the 1575 South 150 West land use variance and the 1575 South 150 West development standard variance, and a request to continue, and that would be a continuance until the Monday, March 27th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the grant them to continue.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, so I'm saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So we'll put those on for next month. The next case would be 3330 to 3370 North State Road 127. Development standard variances, and there are two, one for driveway, and the other one is the side yard setback. So we will read the staff report that includes both of those, and then we'll do the driveway first and discuss that one, do the findings of fact, then we'll do the side yard one, and then do the finding of facts for that one.
Good evening, everyone. This project is the watershed storage condos. They are requesting development standards variances. The applicant is the watershed storage condo, Joe Martin. And then another owner is also Clayton and Judy Griffin. The property address is 3330 and 3370 North State Road 127. The property is zone C2, medium to large commercial. So there are three different requests. One is to the minimum rear yard setback and primary structures. The second one is to the driveway materials. And also the third one is to the lot planting standards, specifically the yard planting. Tonight, February 27th, is the hearing date. Notices appeared in the Herald Republican on February 17th with 10 property owners sent certificate of mailing on February 15th. Again, this is in their Title 18 of the UDO and Indiana Code 36-7-4-900 series. The property is not located within a floodplain, and staff is recommending conditional approval. The watershed storage condos is a self-storage facility that caters to recreational vehicles. The company has other facilities in LaGrange County. The Plan Commission approved a primary plat in September of 2022 that created 7 tracts of ground. The first phase of the development includes over 162,000 square feet of storage space in the form of 75 single occupant, 8 double occupant, and 1 triple occupant structure on lot 1. Each of the 75 single occupants will be owned individually. The watershed storage condo will maintain the ownership of the double and triple buildings, as well as the entire property. The developer is requesting a development standards So obviously the different sections we talked about. So we're going to detail those a little bit further in the staff report. Some contextual zoning here. As we said last year, the property was rezoned to C2. To the north and south, we have agriculture with Scoops ice cream across 127. There is a home immediately adjacent along 127 to this property. Let's get out of here. So let's talk about the first one, which is driveway materials. So they would like to install gravel drive. That would be the purple area that's shown. So the first, so to back this up, sorry. The pink is, we consider that a private road. However, since this property is located in our ETJ, the county has jurisdiction over the roads. Amanda, our city engineer, is here to speak to this if you have any specific questions, but she worked with Chip Porter, the county engineer, and Chip determined that gravel was appropriate for their roadway. Because of that, staff feels it would also be appropriate to have the individual drives on the property also gravel instead of a hard surface. We'll go down. The next request is the minimum rear yard setback. You'll see here diagrammed again in purple that they don't quite meet that setback to the immediately adjacent property to the east, which is their own. The maximum number, C2 only allows 6 because of the type of storage facility it is. They're requesting 84 on lot 1. As far as lot plantings, they're requesting relief or to reduce the amount. 42 canopy trees are required to be planted on lot 1. I don't think staff has a clear view of what the reduction number is they're requesting. From the comprehensive plan, so this site and around it is general agriculture, is what the comprehensive plan calls for. Principle 1 speaks to managing the growth and form of the community, and Principle 2, inspiring that community image, given that they are leaving the potential for some commercial outlots in the future. We do feel like Principle 2 supports that. We have not received any direct public input as a result of the notices. And finally, I'll conclude with the driveway surface material variance. Staff research some general trip generation for the storage facility to gauge how much traffic you might experience here. The analysis came from the Institute of Transportation Engineers for self-storage facilities that averages 17.96 one-way trips per 100 storage units. So with 96 total storage units in phase 1, there is room to add about 100 more storage units, we think, before traffic becomes a real concern. Again, the city deferred to Steuben County Highway Department for the materials of the drive for the private streets. The county agreed that the gravel private street is acceptable. Given that, staff believes that the internal drives is also appropriate to be gravel as well. The C2 development standards minimum rear yard setback. So again, it's zone C2, which permits a variety of commercial uses in a range of sizes. While there's no immediate plans for the remaining tracks to be developed, it's likely it'll be used for additional storage because of the significant setback from 127, the lack of paved streets, the lack of utilities on the remaining undeveloped tracts of land, the small scale of each building, Staff is supportive of the minimum rear yard variance for building 18 and 84. The development standards variance to the number of primary structures. Staff is focused entirely on the development is focused entirely on the storage of a garage condo format. Staff recommends approval for the maximum number as requested. The lot planting standards, the property has many existing trees and vegetation. Per our code, a landscape plan shall show how the developer intends to work with nature on the property, with specific concerns being given to preservation of mature trees. The landscape plan includes the number of species and general location of non-exempt trees of 8-inch, which DBH or greater, to be removed. The landscape plan of this project identifies 3 trees near the roadway entrance will be preserved. No other trees are identified as being preserved at this time. As proposed, the project complies with the street tree planting standards, buffer yard planting standards. Because the proposed detention basin is a dry detention basin, the pond plantings are not required. The applicant has communicated that the elevation change of the property makes it challenging to find location to plant trees. The contours show that the elevation change from the roadway to the east property line is approximately 25 feet. Indiana 127 corridor is a main entrance to Angola, connecting the community to Volcano State Park, lake properties to the north, I-69. The lot planning standards exist and support the principle in the Angola Comprehensive Plan by promoting aesthetic qualities, managing growth, inspiring community image. As a result, staff believes that lot plantings are great value to the community. Staff recommends a reduction by 40% to require the plantings of 25 trees, with the condition that those trees be planted along the perimeter of Lot 1 and be in addition to the perimeter landscaping required by the subdivision. As the project develops, staff encourage the Planning Commission and Park Superintendent to be attentive to making sure the landscape plan is accurate representative of showing existing trees that are to be removed versus preserved. So that is my long spiel about trees. Do you have any questions for staff?
I do.
Yes.
I'm a little confused.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the driveway standards,
Yes, sir.
okay, and then there's the planting,
Mhm.
then there's the setbacks.
Correct.
Is there only 2 finding of facts in here?
The driveway, the rear yard primary structure, and then the lot planting. I have 3. Maybe because that third one, do they get a voting sheet on it?
Oh, wait, never mind, I think I do found it, never
Okay,
mind.
I'm sorry.
I'm okay now.
Let's take it again.
Yep. Okay. You guys have any questions, Rick? Okay. So let's start with the driveway first.
Okay.
We're gonna kind of do each one separate.
Wayne Richardson from Birch Rankin Associates, we're the civil engineer for the project. Did you want to start with the driveway?
Yeah.
Yes. So these are private storage condos. All 96 units. I believe there's 96 units. Will be private. They're not likely to be accessed very often. We see these as some people who do not have lake access or maybe in and out over weekends. But in general, we think of this as more of a winter storage for quite a number of boats and RVs. As stated, the county engineer is not opposed to installing the private street as gravel. The reason we are looking to install as gravel as opposed to impervious surface such as asphalt or concrete is it will reduce the amount of stormwater runoff. Gravel's a pervious surface, so let some of the water absorb. It will keep it from running off as much. To note, though, our stormwater plan is completely, or assumed that this would go on or could be pervious in the future. So it is planned, our stormwater infrastructure is planned for it all to be impervious, all asphalt. That way, if it's installed as gravel, it will reduce the stormwater and not tax the system as much, but it was planned. So the main, as Jennifer pointed out, the main point is if the private street's gravel, it does not really make too much sense to then transition to paved surface for all those internal drives and the driveways. Every unit will have a concrete apron in front of their garage door, so it will eventually transition to hardscape before it drives into each individual unit.
Questions about the driveway?
My question is, I guess I look at it as gravel entering 127. You're going to have boats, RVs, heavy stuff. Personally, I'd rather see that particular part as a hard surface versus gravel goes in, gravel goes out. It ends up on 127. The look of it, it's
Everything within the right of way of 127 will be paved. From within INDOT's right of way, it will be paved back to the right of way, which is approximately it's 50-foot right of way there. So we're looking at approximately probably 40 feet off the roadway will be paved before it transitions to gravel.
okay. That was my biggest concern as far as, I mean, tires throw gravel, everything else, throwing it onto 127 is not a good thing. So if you're paved back away from 127,
Yes.
okay.
And that would come up at the plan commission hearing. None of what's in pink there is what we're asking for a variance on currently. The variance is just the internal stuff.
Just the internal, okay.
Yeah, the pink area, that is governed by the county highway department. And then they have determined gravel is appropriate.
And all of that being said, depending on what is in the future developed on that front track 3, it may get paved further. It may get paved that 400 feet back due to that development wanting the street paved rather than gravel.
Any questions about the driveway, Susan?
How big are those concrete pads coming off of the units? Any idea?
They're wider than the doors, and I think they come out either 6 or 8 feet. They look like they're 8 feet in front of each garage door. It'll come out 8 feet of concrete, and then it will transition into the surface of whatever all of the internal drives are.
One of those huge ruts if there's some erosion or something coming. Okay.
Susan, any questions?
So who's going to maintain that? The watershed condos?
Yeah, watershed condos watershed condos and whoever signs or whoever develops tract 1 will be in charge of the street, the private street that goes back, and then all the internal drives within there. So everything in purple will be the watershed condos as a
They'll plow it.
association will handle any plowing and any maintenance on that.
Next then would be the side yard setbacks.
So currently we have aligned our buildings and for this development as such that the drives can continue back into the future tracks based on our grading and for the grade change across the site and how we wanted to lay out the buildings. The last 2 buildings here ended up only being 8 foot off of the property line between these what were 2 tracks, but it will be 1 lot. and the next two lots to the east. As it is likely to continue to be storage in the future, we don't anticipate that there to be an issue with that 8-foot setback.
Any questions about that setback?
So you own the land, where that 8 foot is, you own the land on past that anyway, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Any questions?
And then just, this one also had the maximum number of primary structures in it. So instead of I believe it was 6 primary structures per lot, which is in the UDO, we are proposing the 84 different structures that we have here. And part of that was, as they noted, there's 25 feet of grade change from east to west across this site, and there's over 50 feet of grade change from north to south across this site. So by separating the buildings instead of combining them as single long buildings with steps in the floors and the roof, it is easier to separate the buildings. And that will also help the stormwater, as it won't all be hardscape. It wouldn't be all roof across there. That was why we went with the separated buildings. They're also more desirable to owners, renters who want the buildings. They prefer a separate building than to be in a long continuous unit.
Questions? Okay, the planting part.
As the development of these two parcels into one lot, and with the 50-foot of grade change across the site, it's difficult to make sure we can install the trees in an area that is flat enough to promote for healthy trees. And then on top of that, we are set for over 450 feet back from 127. There's a residential lot. There is the other of our lots in this subdivision to the south of our drive, and to the north of the drive is there's a house there currently with a barn. So most of our development is not right along 127, and we understand that 127 is a nice corridor that we're looking to maintain. We do have to the northeast or to the northwest corner of our site, we are leaving that area undisturbed. Yep, right there. That's a number of acres of undisturbed. The middle section that to the right there at the north end is actually part of that is a existing pond that encroaches onto us, and then our stormwater basin is there. So we're asking for reduction in the number of trees. I think it looked like staff had recommended or had been open to maybe a 40% reduction. We're looking for any reduction within the lot standards. This is going to
live with the 40%.
We'd prefer a further reduction, but yes, we could. Any reduction at all is very helpful.
I mean, it's your case. What do you prefer? Not saying you're going to get it. I'm just.
No, yeah.
So to be clear, and why this might be a little bit of a struggle to communicate is as part of the subdivision requirements, which this board does not deal with. We do have buffering that has to be part of that. So this area that he's pointing out that's going to remain preserved is part of that subdivision requirement, which is why one of my conditions is this isn't not to be counted with that buffer. So the additional they're proposing is along here. And that's part of the actual development plan.
Yes, and you can
If that
see.
helps.
Yes, and you can see all of those lines on there are 1-foot contours. So most of the area where those trees are going to be planted, as shown on here, is at a 4-to-1 or a 3-to-1 slope. So for every 3 feet it goes over, it drops a foot.
The circles around the perimeter, are those representing a 40% reduction?
No, that represents the full number of the full number of lot trees. And there's actually the ones that she just pointed to along the stormwater basin. Those will also be eliminated because this is a dry basin. So those right now that she's currently showing is just the pond planting. So we do not need those based on staff report. So it would just be basically around our perimeter that you see those trees. We're asking for a reduction of those.
Questions? Anybody have any other questions for him? You said there were no communications received?
Not with staff, no.
So now we'll take anyone else who would like to make any comments. Please come to the podium, give your first and last name and address. Okay, if there aren't any, then we will close the public part of the hearing. And we'll start with the driveway. Any questions? Are we ready for the findings of fact? Comments?
So this is page 8 of your staff report. The approval of the variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that Steuben County has determined gravel is an acceptable surface material for a private street, which provides access to the entire subdivision. The condo access drives would be subordinate to the private street and experience less traffic. Additionally, gravel is pervious surface, reducing the impact on surface drainage.
All agree?
Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including in the variance, will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that the surface material of the drives will not impact adjacent uses. Each adjacent use will continue as it exists regardless of the surface material of the drives. Additionally, the surface of the drives is a relevant factor in the value of adjacent properties.
Everyone agree?
Agreed.
Agree.
The strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties of the use of the property.
Well,
Because the Steuben County approving a gravel surface for the private street, it does not make sense that a lesser traveled driveway from a gravel street would be paved. Additionally, gravel driveways reduce the amount of surface drainage on the property.
everybody agree?
Agreed.
Hearing that, do I have a motion to approve the driveway standards variance?
I move that we approve driveway standards as presented.
Second? All in favor? Aye. So the setbacks?
Okay, let me catch up a little. So this regards the rear setback and the number of primary structures. So the approval of the variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the garage condo buildings are small in scale compared to other general commercial, and the setback proposed by the applicant provide adequate separation for the circumstance.
Everyone agree?
Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the property to the east will most likely be developed in a similar fashion with additional storage facilities, and other adjacent properties will still function as they do today.
Agree?
Agreed.
Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
Staff proposes the finding that the ordinance does not take into account that the property adjacent to the east will have no public street frontage, no access to public utilities, and will be used for additional storage facilities.
All agree? Do I have a motion to accept the development standards on the side yard setback?
I make a motion to accept those rear yard setbacks.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Phil and then Howard.
Can we ask a question on this yet, maybe with us or not?
This next one?
On the last one.
Yep.
We'll do that.
Did you guys want to talk anything?
I have a question on the last one.
Okay.
Good. The only thing I see that personally is just the frontage facing 127. I don't know how many trees are going to be there. Is this going to be something that their landscaping will give you a blockage of what's behind there versus seeing all these buildings up there?
In staff's opinion, the topography is quite significant. So that right there is already a natural buffer. So and that really played in a factor into recommending reducing the amount of landscaping required on the
And it
lot.
is set back so far because of what could
It is.
eventually be out front.
Mhm.
So you're not gonna see much anyway.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions? The approvance of the variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Well,
That is
Will
the
not.
general-
I'm sorry, will not.
Will not.
Excuse me.
So, yeah, so staff wrote these as denial or approving with conditions. So just keep that in mind. That's how we went about writing them. So will not, is that what you guys decided?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So staff proposes the finding that some of the existing and mature trees are proposed to be kept, while additional landscaping is proposed around the perimeter of the development.
Agree?
The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the development will include a reduced number of canopy trees around the perimeter of the development, creating a softened view from the adjacent properties. The adjacent properties will continue to be used as they currently are with no impact.
Agree?
Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will?
Staff proposes the finding that because the elevation change of the property make it difficult to plant all the required tree plantings, a reduction in the tree planting accommodates the site better, but still upholds the public interest in screening the development.
Agree? So do I have a motion to approve with the condition that the standards be reduced to 25 canopy trees? These plantings on the perimeter lot 1, in addition to the perimeter landscaping required by the subdivision of land. Those are the conditions set forth by staff.
I move that we approve with those conditions.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
So to move on, we're ready to do that. Oh, wait.
Yeah, if you are.
Ready?
I was just waiting on you to caught up.
Sorry. So Brett took on this case as from start to finish
Okay.
in a way. So it's his first shot at it.
All right,
So beat him up a little bit now.
So the next case is the 100 block of Fox Lake Road. Again, there are two. There's a special exception. A request to permit a dwelling, a single family detached on lot 1. And then on the 100 block of Fox Lake Road, a development standards variance to construct two-family duplex on lots 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You're up.
All right, the project name is Foxview Subdivision. The applicant type is seeking for special exception and developmental standard variances. The applicant and owner is Matt Wells. The location of this property is in the 100 block of Fox Lake Road. The special exemption is for dwellings, single-family detached, and the developmental standard variances is for sought after is for minimum lot width and minimum side yard setback. The current zoning is zoned R4 multiple family residential district. The hearing date is today, February 27th. Legal notices of the hearing were sent in the Herald Republican on February 17th. 18 property owners within 300 feet of the property were sent certificate of mailings and received back from February 14th. The property is not within the floodplain, and staff recommendation is for approval. The petitioner plans to develop on a vacant lot in the 100 block of Fox Lake Road. The property is currently 1.63 acres. The applicant is also working to subdivide the property into 5 lots. The primary and secondary subdivision will appear before the Plan Commission on March 13th. The petitioner plans to construct at a steady pace beginning as early as April 2023. Special exception. Lot 1 is the furthest west lot and the largest of the 5. It will have a large utility easement along the proposed east property line to accommodate several utilities as well as drainage. The special exception request is to permit a dwelling, a single-family detached, since building a duplex would be unreasonable given the large easement. For developmental standard variances, the petitioner intends to develop the remaining properties with dwelling, two-family duplex, in order for each unit to be sold independently and follow variance independently. The following variances are needed: the reduction of side yard setback and minimum lot width, reducing the side yard setbacks from 15 feet to 8 feet on all lots shown in the blue. Between lots 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, the petitioner is requesting a 0-foot setback shown in the green. And reduction of minimum lot width, which will be in the yellow. Lots 2 through 5, minimum lot width going from 60 feet to 37.5 feet. As we continue on, this is somewhat of an overall plan, just so you can see the layout of the single family detached on lot 1, and then the duplex placement for the remaining lots 2, 3, and lots 4, 5. Surrounding properties, as I stated, the current is zoned R4. To the north, you'll have Pleasant View Church, which is in zoned institutional. Traditional housing, which is detached single-family dwellings. To the south, you have offices, Steuben County REMC. To the east, dwelling, two-family duplexes, and then to the west is Lakeland Apartments. The Angola Comprehensive Plan speaks to several objectives to support the project like this. Strongly encourage development in underutilized vacant and abandoned structures and lots. Encourage infill development to direct commercial and residential growth inside the corporate limits, and encourage a broader range of housing and mixed densities to better meet the needs. Steuben County Housing Study shows in Steuben County completed in 2020. This study reports potentially over 2,000 households of all incomes have the potential to move into Steuben County each year. 31% are younger singles or couples, 24% are empty nesters and retirees, with 36% housing preference of rental units. The annual Absorption rate of Angola alone is 26 to 33 rental units each year and 88 to 110 units countywide. Below this, you'll see some site photos. The first one is along Fox Lake Road, looking to the south west over the site. So basically the corner of lot 5, looking over lots 4, 5 immediately, and then further down towards Lakeland Apartments. The next is from the opposite corner along Fox Lake Road, looking southeast. So initially the northwest corner of lot 1, looking to the southeast towards REMC. And then straight north of the complex along Fox Lake Road, looking straight south. The plan review, the project was sent out for plan review at the end of January. City departments reviewed the project and provided comments below. The engineering department advised provide a to consider a construction timeline, which they have provided, and then also that a fire hydrant may be located in conflict with the proposed driveway. Coordination with the water utilities will be required and to complete the relocation of the hydrant. And then the Steuben County Surveyor approved, the Drainage Board approved a variance for construction with the drain right away on August 1st of 2022. As of today's date, there's been no public input as a result from the public notices. Staff conclusion. In conclusion, the staff is encouraged to see an infill development and is supportive of the request. Given the 2020 housing study, there is no question more housing is needed within Steuben County. Infill on the existing lot with multifamily dwellings is a simple and cost-effective way to increase density and allows more housing options within existing developed areas. The setbacks and lot width variances requests are needed to sell each unit of the dwelling to family duplex in the future. Due to existing infrastructure, a large easement is needed on the property. Given the remainder of the land left between easement and the west property line, it appears only to be conducive for dwelling a single family detached.
All right. Thank you. Who's going to speak?
Yes, I'm Matt Wells. I am the owner and contractor of the project. What variation would you like to discuss first?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
What kind of stuff is in the easement that's so large there?
It's a city and county storm drain that goes through there. We have to stay 25 feet on either side to any construction. So that's limiting us to what we can do also.
Any questions?
So just to confirm, okay, between 3 and 4, lots 3 and 4, you're going to basically have 16 feet between the two buildings,
Yes,
8 foot on each lot.
yes.
Okay. That was all I had on that.
Phil, you have anything? Susan?
Mr. Chairman, I will have to recuse myself since I'm owner of Jacob Insurance. Am I required to recuse myself, or how does that work?
I can't answer that.
I don't need to.
I wouldn't think so. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Any correspondence received? Any correspondence?
No.
Anybody else here would like to speak on the case? Hearing none, then we'll close the public part of the hearing. Any comments? All right. So we want to go through the special exception first.
All right. The board shall make the finding of facts. Disapproval of finding shall specify the provisions of the title or the city of Angola's construction standards with which they are not in compliance. The proposal or the proposed special exception will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community.
Will not?
Staff proposes the findings because a dwelling, a single-family detached, will have adequate utilities, drainage, and installation of sidewalks.
Agree?
The proposed special exception will or will not alter the character of the district.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that the dwelling single-family detached is consistent with surrounding properties and character of the area, given its proximity to exact same land use.
Agree?
Agreed.
The proposed special exception is or is not consistent with the purpose of the zoning district and Angola comprehensive plan.
Agree?
This
Yes.
The staff proposes the finding that because objectives 1.5, 1.7, and 1.10 is in support of this type of development. Additionally, the R4 district intent states allow special exception use only when it clearly complements the residential nature of the district.
Agree?
Agreed.
And moving on, the purpose or the proposed special exception is or is not in harmony with the adjacent land use.
Yes.
Staff proposes the finding that the dwelling, single-family detached, is an adjacent land use. Additionally, the architecture and finishing materials will be similar to the surrounding structures.
Agree?
Agreed.
Lastly, the proposed special exception will or will not substantially impact property value in an adverse manner.
Will not.
Will not.
Staff proposes the findings that because the properties will be developed in a manner consistent with adjacent properties.
Agree?
Agreed.
Do I have the motion to accept the special exception as presented?
I move that we accept the special exception as presented, please.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Standards variance for the side yard setback and lot width.
Excuse me. The approval of these variances will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Will not.
The staff proposes the findings that because the property will have adequate utilities and drainage and installation of sidewalks. The reduction of the side yard setback and lot width will mirror the petitioner's previous builds on adjoining properties to the east, as well as similar building materials used.
Agree?
Agreed.
The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the findings that because the development complements the neighboring properties in use and finished materials, the setback and lot widths will practically be identical to petitioner's previous builds on his properties to the east.
Agree?
Agreed.
Lastly, the strict application of the terms of this ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of this property.
Will.
Will.
Staff proposes the findings that because the large easement and setback to the stormwater drainage demands unique placement of structures on the property in order to still complement surrounding character. Additionally, the dwelling two-family duplexes may be sold independently for each other, further supporting affordable housing needed in community as demonstrated in the 2020 housing study.
Okay.
Agreed.
Do I have a motion to accept the developmental standards variance, side yard setback and lot width as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else for us?
No, we will have a meeting next month with the two cases you continued, and I believe we have two applications coming today as well.
I will not be in town next month.
That is the, let me check.
It'll be
27th.
March 27th.
It is the first day of spring break. Let you know as soon as I can.
If we need to change that date, the sooner we know, the better.
Yeah.
Should be available.
Okay.
I'll be gone the whole month, so.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
All in favor?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, it's not. Paint lessons.
Why? You have a question.